Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to another update on this Saturday night. It is the Earthmaster here on this end. It is Saturday night, yes, February 3rd, 2024, about 10 p.m. here, California time. A real quick shout out to Tony Everett here in Chico, local fan. Met him here at the gas station in Chico. Give him a Earthmaster pin and a couple stickers, so a big shout out there to Tony from Chico. All right, looking at earthquake activity here, the latest movement, it looks like a 2.5 here across the area of South America. I'm just going to make a small adjustment here to the time because it technically has been over 24 hours since the 5-pointer out in Oklahoma. So that's where we're kind of gonna start out tonight, I believe. There is the 5.1 that struck out here last night, just over 24 hours ago now. A handful of aftershocks in this area of Oklahoma. Now, I did check some of these seismograph stations here, and it looks like the majority of the earthquake activity is being reported. It has calmed down here quite a bit, though, throughout the day, so not a whole lot of newer earthquake activity to report here across the area of Oklahoma. But still could see some aftershock activity, but things are tapering down there from that 5.1 that struck out there last night. Still seeing some movement out in the oil fields there of Texas. California, we did have a 4-pointer out here earlier this afternoon. This one here deep into the Cascadia subduction zone here, the megathrust area at the southern end, 25 kilometers deep for that 4-pointer. On that note, let's double check the tremor map and see what we have for tremor. Got about 32 epicenters here, not a big amount. They're underneath the Oregon area. Now, tremor occurs down into the subduction zone about 35, 45 kilometers under this area. And we continue the quietness spell of tremor, lack of tremor. Further down the state here, I know the coast and the majority of California is getting ready for a big-time storm tomorrow. Well, it's coming in right now, but it's going to last all day here on Sunday, tomorrow. And we'll take a look at that here in just a little bit after we cover earthquake activity. Still getting a little bit of movement here near the Pinnacles region. A couple twos right smack dab on the San Andreas Fault. This is the creeping segment here of the San Andreas Fault. As far as Southern California goes, not a whole lot. A handful of earthquakes out here. The latest one looks like a 1.1 or a 0.9 here. Very small earthquake activity. Really not a whole lot to report. Far as Yellowstone goes, up in the Yellowstone National Park area, doesn't look like too much earthquake activity, so let's just verify. It is the weekend, and most of the time USGS will not report on earthquake activity unless it's above a certain level for these areas. And obviously, there's a handful of earthquakes out here in the last 24 hours, but nothing listed on the map. These are generally probably under a 1.5 magnitude. A lot of this activity showing up here around the Hebgen Lake. And, this area can see some large damaging earthquakes for sure. And even areas up around Montana, around Helena, and these other mountainous areas do see some large quakes on occasion. But for now, things look very, very quiet. Really haven't seen too much earthquake activity out here. All right, bouncing out of here, going to the Alaska region. Kind of quiet up here as well. A handful of smaller quakes and a little bit of movement here. A little swarm going on here just off the coast of the Alaska area. Looks like about 6 kilometers or so for that's a little bitty swarm of very small microquakes. Nothing major going on there. Out in Hawaii, the USGS Volcanoes has lowered the threat level, but earthquake activity continues. Now, I know these guys aren't showing a whole lot of earthquakes on the map here, but the question is, why not? Why are they not showing the earthquakes? Let's go to the update here first. This was put out earlier this morning. They did mention that Kilauea Volcano is not erupting. The intrusion of magma into this area appears to have slowed, and the likelihood of an eruption has decreased. The thing is, what about all of this magma that has been intruded into the area? They were talking about 40 million cubic meters, I think it was, underneath this area. I just find it very strange that they just all of a sudden decided to switch from the kind of a alerted level to nothing's going on, everything's slowing down. go back to, what you were doing. It's a little weird. So let's go check out the earthquake activity ourselves and some tilt meter stations out here. Now, we had been watching this earthquake activity really ramp up here southwest of the Caldera region and migrating actually out here offshore. We had a pretty decent amount of earthquake activity out here as well, relatively shallow. And that can be concerning because we got the hill and the slump out here that is a little on the, hazardous side in terms of producing, potential tsunami activity if this thing were to collapse. Let's check out the the station out here. I'm trying to find one right here. Here it is. So, all right. Past 24 hours. What do you guys see here? Definitely a decline in earthquake activity, right? But would you say it has stopped completely? Absolutely not. If you look at the last 6 hours, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Okay, hold on a second here. Let's go back. The last 6 hours here, that's still a lot of earthquake activity out here. They may not be big quakes, but there's still a bunch going on. This is a lot of earthquake activity happening all at once. So someone made the decision to probably stop reporting some of these earthquakes, maybe underneath a certain magnitude, I guess, maybe. I don't know why, but that was really quick of them to lower that alert level when there's still all that magma intruded underneath the area, right? 40 million cubic meters, I think is the word. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that's just one seismograph station here. Let's check this area down here, see what we got. Last 6 hours. Last 6 hours, what do you guys see here? Just on the first line for fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Probably a good 20 earthquakes here just in the last half an hour or so, right? Look at this, just in the last 6 hours. There's a lot. There's probably hundreds of them there. USGS, last 24 hours, only 60 earthquakes being reported up here on the map. So something a little on the fishy side is going on here across the Kīlauea Volcano. I kind of call it out when I see it, and this is one of those times that I'm kind of calling it out that it seems a little fishy to drop everything when we're still seeing this elevated earthquake activity. And it's showing up there on the seismograph stations there, folks. This one's offline, and now hopefully these guys don't pull the plug on the seismograph stations next. But yeah, earthquake activity, far as the largest, the intensity has kind of dropped off, but there's still a lot of earthquake activity here. 12 hours. Tilt meter. Let's see what we got going on here for the tilt meter. The deformation activity here. There we go. Here's the summit region the last 2 days. Really haven't seen any adjustment for that. It's obviously dropped. Maybe coming back up here a little bit, it looks like, but not much in the past week. Here's the past 30 days there at the summit region, the East Rift Zone. Dropped like a rock, and now we're starting to slowly go back up here. So the question now is, what's all that magma doing underneath this region? Is it just kind of sitting down there? Is it just going to, wait for another push of magma from below? This area rose 20 inches when this activity was happening out here, this intrusion of magma. Unfortunately, we don't have any tilt meters specifically in this region. Let me bring up the instruments here. And I'm going to get rid of some of these earthquakes. We can kind of see what's going on here. Here. Keeps wanting to come back. This tilt meter here, just south of the summit region, went way up and then it went way down. And the reason for that is because magma found its way. It had been underneath this area, around the summit reservoir area, underneath this region. Found a way out here. Through an intrusion area, and so this went way up and then it went way down because of the magma that is now out here. The thing is, there's no more tilt meters out here, so that's an unfortunate deal. If you look at the GPS displacements here for this region, this shows general GPS displacement. Look at this sharp rise here in 2024. But unfortunately, as far as looking at the hour run, we're not able to see that. We're not able to see the a couple hour run out here. Look at that, 2024, very sharp rise. And, obviously all the magma is sitting out here across the southwest rift zone and potentially further south here towards the shore area because of this earthquake activity. I mean, if you look here, there's definitely been some type of migration out here. It seems as though when this started, this is some older movement from last night that I kind of pinpointed out. But when I started mentioning this, it seems like they cut everything. Earthquakes have gone down. Deflation is okay. We're lowering the threat level because the risk of a eruption is a lot lower. I don't think so. I really don't see this as being a lowered threat with all this earthquake activity and 40 million cubic, whatever it was, of magma underneath this area. So something's going on. I don't have an official word from anyone here, but it just seems a little fishy. So we'll continue to watch that. We'll continue to watch the earthquake activity. That's key. Hot Caves Hawaii Station right here will show earthquake activity, and that is the live data coming in from the station there. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it, folks. I don't think we're over here. Just a little weird, right? One earthquake, 4.9 out near the Banda Sea, 167 kilometers deep. Some minimal activity out here today. Not a whole lot going on in terms of larger scale movement. Definitely an uptick though, right? A little bit more active out here across the western Pacific and adjacent plates than we have seen in a little bit. And but really no large scale earthquake activity. Down here across New Zealand, it does look like there's been a handful of earthquakes out here recently in the region. And it's been showing some deeper movement quakes here around the Hikurangi subduction zone. Let's see what we got for activity. Mostly looks like a couple ones here. Here's a 2.7 out there around the area between North and South Island. French Pass area, it looks like. 2.1. 4.7. Here's that earthquake up along the Kermadec Trench. That's fairly deep. 439 kilometers there for the depth of that earthquake. And here's a fairly deep one as well, 104 kilometers underneath this area. The Hikurangi subduction zone, of course, is off the east coast here of the North Island, kind of right about here, all the way down to here. So deeper earthquakes underneath this area. Obviously, the subduction zone region is where we see all that deeper activity. But for now, no large-scale movement, just these little earthquakes here letting us know that, things are still active around the area. Looks like we got a swarm of activity up here across the Kuril-Kamchatka. Really not so much, though, on the USGS map. They're only showing a couple earthquakes here from today. A couple fours, but it does look like there's some more activity in the 3 range popping off here, so we'll keep an eye on that. Definitely looks fairly active. China's still seeing quite a bit of movement up here, and the Mediterranean, a handful of earthquakes. Aside from that, the Atlantic Ocean fairly quiet. Let's see what is going on across the Iceland area real quick. And I got to get up pretty early tomorrow, so I'm gonna be covering some of the storm activity for California. So I got to go to bed somewhat soon. As far as earthquake activity goes, there's a handful out here across the region of Grindavik. Nothing major going on yet. Still got to watch that, though, for some potential future eruptive fissures. All right, what else we got here? Did I miss anything out there across California? Doesn't look like it. Let's check out. Let's see what we got down here. We did have a fairly recent 4.8 and fairly deep here into the Peru-Chile Trench earlier this evening. 115 kilometers for that 4.8. Fairly nice cluster of earthquakes. Look at that. Quite a few 2s and 3s out there. I'll keep an eye on that. Most of the time, these plates, areas of the plates and the subduction zones are just very active. They do throw out a lot of earthquakes here, at least on the globe. All right, space weather activity, and then we'll check weather real quick. I don't think we got anything major going on for space weather. We have been watching a new sunspot region. Welcome 3576 to the board. Southeastern limb here of the sun, making its presence known. A very large sunspot region. Hopefully we'll get a better view of this as it comes around the bend, so to speak. This area down here has shown quite a bit of growth here recently. That is going to be sunspot number 3575, a culprit there of some C-flare activity, it looks like. But look at this massive region out here across the southeastern limb. Got to watch out here in the coming days. 99% chance for a C-flare. M-flare at 60. X-flare has been bumped up to about 15%. So we got a decent shot of some X-flare probability. Let's see where that's coming from. Looks like mainly 3575, and that is going to be the new the advanced sunspot down here, the one that's quickly formed. So we'll keep an eye on that. It is looking quite complex. Far as auroras go, looks like maybe a chance of seeing a G1 class storm as we head into the UTC time of February 5th. That's probably going to be that'd be tomorrow. Even though tomorrow's the 4th, the UTC time will come about I think about this time tomorrow. But we'll check that out in the morning. Aside from that, no major flares going on. But again, keep an eye on a couple of those regions out there. Storm Prediction Center does show some severe weather threat here for the day tomorrow, Sunday, with a chance of tornado probability out there in Florida and California. With that low pressure system coming in there, there's a chance of seeing some small spin ups out there across the central coast area. Got some wind and some hail out there in Florida. But the big deal, I think, is going to be all the potential rainfall that is coming into the region as we speak. It's just starting to rain pretty good there in the Bay Area southward. That is from a developing low pressure system. That is going to be amping up a lot of rainfall out here across Northern California and Southern California as well. This orange right here is sitting right over me, right where my my residence is outside of Chico here. So that is good. I'm ready for it. I say bring on the rain. But definitely seeing the potential of some flooding concerns out here across the area of California. The total accumulated precipitation run out here. Let's see what we got as far as activity goes. And this is probably going to be probably right about there, right? This goes to Thursday or Wednesday night, somewhere around there. And main area of concern is going to be down around Los Angeles, where they could see, 3 to 4 inches, maybe even more. There's a lot of what ifs and a lot of uncertainties right now in terms of how much rainfall they're going to get. But it is looking likely that they will see some decent rainfall. Let me go over here to a different map real quick and check this out. There's our low pressure system kind of spinning off there. Satellite view real quick. Check this out. There was a low pressure up here spinning and a low pressure system out here as well. It's kind of odd to see two different low pressure systems out here. But that's going to be tapping into all this tropical moisture. Look at that. Already pulling it up. It's in its forming stage right now. And it should amplify up here overnight and into the day tomorrow to form a stronger storm. Right now it looks a little disorganized. Still tapping into that moisture, but yeah, I think this thing is getting ready to gear up here for some decent rain and wind. Let's put this into motion a little bit here as we head into Sunday about 8 a.m. or so. These are wind gusts here. You can see that strengthening low pressure system. San Jose area, a lot of these areas going to get some big time wind. And we're talking about maybe up there around 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts here across certain regions here of the maybe right outside Salinas there. Might see hurricane strength winds tomorrow in the afternoon. This is no joke. Definitely will be potential power outages here. And it's going to be widespread. It's not going to be just limited to one area. As that low pressure moves up further north in Northern California, that will bring some of those southerly winds into the valley as well. We're underneath a high wind warning out here in Chico as well. But we could see some, some decent gusts out there. As far as precipitation goes, rain accumulation here. Now this is the ECM WF model showing, right around Chico, maybe 2.5 inches. Certain areas around the valley may differ here a little bit. But I think the average is going to be about 3 inches for the majority of Sacramento Valley. Huge rain shadow out here for the San Joaquin Valley southward into Bakersfield. Unfortunately, you guys aren't going to get a lot of rain because of that rain shadow. Down here across Ventura, now these guys are under the excessive flood watch potential out here at the highest level of seeing some major flooding going on. Expecting around 6 inches or so. Locally higher, 5 to 6 inches around Los Angeles. That's a decent amount here in just, a 24-hour period. GFS model run shows a lot more, a little bit higher, more aggressive rainfall accumulation out here across Southern California. And up in Northern California here, like I say, the northern Sacramento Valley here looks like we're going to see a decent amount, 3 to 4 inches across the area. And we'll just kind of see how this plays out. Right now it doesn't look like it's a huge system in terms of, the visual perspective here, at least on this. Let's see. Can we do anything else with this? Clouds. Cloud base. Low clouds. No, I don't want low clouds. But you can kind of see that area of circulation. It should look fairly awesome by tomorrow morning, so we'll jump back into that tomorrow. But I do need to go to bed, and we'll catch you guys back out here tomorrow morning sometime. The majority of seismograph stations out here, actually the ones that I'm monitoring, look fairly calm and clear. Not a whole lot going on right now, but keep an eye on Hawaii. I don't think it's over yet. I just think it's very odd that they lowered everything. Stopped reporting a lot of the earthquake activity, even though earthquakes are continuing. But we'll continue to watch and investigate what's going on out there. Have a good night, everyone. Stay safe out there.